welcome everyone. This is the AstroTarot show and I am your celestial host, Serona Rose. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, tonight, wherever you are in the world. Whenever you're watching this, I have a lot to talk about. And there's a lot of things that are going on this year, and I want to try to, in this episode, I'm going to try to hit all of the very important things that just stuck out to me. Now, this is for the reading of January the 11th through January the 18th of 2023. And like I said before, this is a number 7 year. And if you want to know more about that, I talked in about this, and I discussed, I brought out the tarot cards and got really nitty-gritty in that. So you can check out the reading that I did, the astrology that I did on January the 4th. You can find that on my YouTube channel and or Rumble. So, and I do post them to my page as well. So please note that I am not always on Facebook. So when you do send me messages on Facebook, it may take me a minute to answer you. The best way to get a message to me is through my email, and I will leave my contact information at the end of the show. Now, let's talk about something that's going to happen pretty soon. Before we get to our astrology, and this is regarding astrology, I'm sure you all heard that we are going to have a green comet on February the 2nd. It's the 1st or 2nd. I think it depends on where you are in the world. So the name of it, its particular name is C/0222 E3, and also in parentheses is ZTF. And that is their name for it. So it's the green comet because it is green. And they did think it was an asteroid at first because of how it was presenting itself. But as time went on, they did realize that it is a comet. Now, the last time that the comet came by Earth was 50,000 years ago. Yes. This was, and it was 20 million miles, 26 million miles away from the Earth. Now, can you imagine what the ancient people believed, what they saw at that time? Can you imagine? It's not since the Stone Age that this comet has come to visit us. Now, this was known as the time when the Homo sapiens are believed to have left Africa and settled into Asia and Europe. But of course, we are now having new information that's coming out that's starting to add more spice to the story, is what I like to say. Especially when you consider what they're finding, what the civilizations that they're finding that are underwater, and so forth. Let's talk about green really quick. Green, they said it's green because it's a diatomic carbon. And, you know, what does this mean? What does a comet mean? Okay. This is a time when more and more archaeologists are believing that, and they're finding evidence by finding archaeological evidence, by talking to these, to these people that, that came from the ancient people. In ancient times, many things were not written down. Many things were passed from mouth to ear. And when that occurred, it wasn't just anyone that got to share the stories. It was certain people, because there's a lot of, myths, and there's a lot of people's creation stories that they had to remember. And many times that was not written down. That did, unfortunately, that wasn't something they were able to do. So they passed this down to the next generation and to the next generation and so forth. So we're also seeing how that is exposing a whole world that we knew nothing about. And this is changing history as we know it by the day. Because as more and more people are getting out and talking to these ancient people, to these indigenous people, um, that have, been able to survive, the more information that they're finding out that our world is more than what meets the eye. So, and by changing this, it's changing many theories that the orthodox academics still believe to this day, although many things are changing. What change is not something that a lot of people like. Change is hard. It is, it's like breaking free from something, and it's new and it's uncharted territory. So it can be very scary for people. And plus, you have to think nowadays, people, it's all about money. So there we are there. Our ancient ancestors knew the stars. They said, and they didn't have TV. They didn't have all of this stuff to distract us from what is really important. They paid attention to the stars. They paid attention to the planetary movements. They paid attention to what was going on, and they took record of it. The Mayans were wonderful record keepers. The Sumerians, they were great record keepers too. You can see this all through time when you go back to those who actually, were able to keep records. And of course, there's a lot of stuff that is gone. From the ancient libraries of the mystery schools being burnt. Who knows what happened with all of that information. And it was said that when the Spanish went to Central America, they said that it was like 50,000 books that they were burning. And it's just, if we have stuff from ancient time that has survived to this time, it is absolutely remarkable. And it's a shame all of it was destroyed. But our ancient people, they recorded these cycles, and they thought it was important because not for just themselves, but for the people that came after them. See, that was something they knew, is that life is a cycle. And they knew that they would be coming back. And they want to try to prepare people after them, to prepare the civilizations that are going to come after them. And then we have the cycle of the Dryas period. We have the Younger Dryas is what is really being studied at this time. And that is when the whole world flooded. That is when sea levels rose 400 feet, they said, pretty much overnight. I wasn't there. I don't know. So I can only talk about what I find out through my research. But a lot of land disappeared at this time. It was the end of an ice age, and it was a time where everything was melting and the land was rising. And you will hear different people talk about different paths that it was the gods that did it. The gods were upset over how the people were behaving, so they flooded the earth. And this flooding was noted as a cycle. So the earth, the earth passes through different asteroid belts and so forth at certain times. And they noted this. They made record of this so that for the next people to be prepared for what happens. And we've come a long way since our ancient ancestors, or have we? there's a lot of us that would go back and forth with that, but this green comet is a once in a lifetime event. And this really marks a precedent moment in our life. And this event connects us to a time 50 million years ago. It connects us to a time where it is completely ancient and unknown and new territory for us. So this time, this will not happen again for another, it will not be visible from Earth for another million years or so. So this is very, very present. So what does a comet mean? Well, they meant everything from doom and gloom to good luck and prosperity, and it was this wonderful time. So I feel that it can be both. Regardless, our ancient ancestors saw comets as messengers from the gods. They saw them as, this is a message from the gods that something is coming. But what is that something? Well, I guess it depends on who you talk to. Different cultures believe different. Comets, what we do know is that comets do bring us a new era. For the Chinese believe that comets bring prosperity and luck. It was right after a comet that Buddha was enlightened. And let's see here, the Greek, we're not that fond of them because that is when Julius Caesar, it was right after a comet, that was when he was assassinated. And also it was after a comet that William the Conqueror defeated Harold Godwinson. So you can see it is a new era. It is it was known as a death of a king. So you can see how this is kind of it's kind of a tricky kind of energy. But I feel this is, a lot of people are like, why am I here? And I know that this time has been very stressful for a lot of people, but we are on this grand wheel. It's this universal wheel of existence, and here we are. We are very lucky. A lot of people don't get this far in life. A lot of people don't have this chance. But comets also bring that hope. They bring that hope that something is going to change, that something will be better. For this to be green, I want to look at this green color a little bit. Green is associated with the heart chakra. Green is associated with money, of course, that's prosperity. It's associated with healing. It is associated with the earth. And it's associated with abundance. It's also connected to our heart chakra, which is called the Anahata. And this, when you are working with chakras, I'm a Reiki master, so I'm quite familiar with working with heart chakras. This is where our peace and our love and our family is. This is about connection and relationships. Well, that's going to connect us also to Venus, because Venus is doing some stuff too. And we'll talk about Venus in a minute. Now, the mantra is Yam. And when we are saying Yam, Y-A-M, it is supposed to help balance the energy within our heart chakra. It is the fourth chakra, so the number 4 represents stability. It is the 4 building blocks, okay? But for this, in chakras, heart is associated with air. Now, let's look at healthy relationships. That's what the heart chakra is all about. It looks at your relationships. Are your relationships healthy? How about your family? This is a connection with pets as well. It's appreciation for love. The word for the heart chakra is I love. And what is it that you love? This energy center is driven by love. So it is about integration and transformation. Okay? This is the masculine and the feminine energies coming together in harmony. And this is associated with control over air as well as breath. Now, the second is also an important day for us pagans. That is Imbolc. And that is she's got several names. Brigitte, some people call her that. Some people call her bride. Some people called her bridie. And if you are in the in more of Catholicism, it would be Saint Bridget. So she is Imbolc is a time when it is a stirring. But let's talk about Bridget really quick, because I want to touch in on this, because this is connected to that heart chakra. Bridget is, she's healing. She is, she represents poetry, smith crafting, flames, fire. She's known as a protectress of poets. Those are words. That's a part of smith crafting too, a wordsmith. Okay. Also, she is connected to childbirth, prosperity, and abundance. Some see her as a mother goddess, connected to Danu and the Morrigan. And I want to talk about the three aspects, because we can see how these were divided up over time. It is believed that the goddesses were all one. Like when we go back to, say, Inanna, the ancient Sumerian goddess Inanna, she was a goddess of love as well as a goddess of war. And some of her love poems to her lover, Damunji, anyway, do not quote me on that. Not Damunji. Anyway, her love poems were absolutely beautiful, and they were very erotic. They were words that someone would speak to their beloved, and that she encapsulated all of that. But as you go on and you see, well, there's also Isis. Let's look at Isis. You have the dark Isis, or is it, you have Isis and black Isis. You have the veiled and unveiled, although that can mean separate things depending on traditions. But it's a different side of that. But as we go on, when we get more into when it was less of that balance and more of a masculine persuasion, you will see, and I will say the patriarch, I hate using that, but it's just because it's one of those words that's so misused, but you can see this division, how she got separated. So that is debatable as well, and so forth, and whole can of worms there. But she is a woman of healing. And she's a daughter of the Dagda, who was possessed the great magical cauldron. And she, in the Ulcer cycle, was also known as a judge, and she is connected to the Brian laws. Now, Imbolc marks a time, it's the stirring of spring. It is when we're going out there, we're going to get our fields prepared. We're going to see what we need to do, clean up, that sort of thing. It is a holy day that is connected to women and their daughters as well, but it is very much family oriented. Now, this is saying a lot when it goes into what is happening in our astrology, because some of our squares that were very, very intense are starting to separate and they're coming about. We have, at the end of this week, Mercury is going to be going direct, and that's going to straighten out some energy. We also have Mars going direct. So let's talk about, we have on the 14th, Mercury is going to have a half square with Saturn. And this can represent information being stifled, censorship. Remember, Mercury is still retrograde on the 14th. So there is information being hidden, being censored from our eyes. And after he moves direct, clarity will be made known. Clarity will definitely be made known. On the 18th, that is when the sun is moving in the latest degrees of Capricorn, and it catches up with Pluto. Now remember, Venus just had her meeting with Pluto. She entered into the underworld, and she shed away those things that no longer was defined who she was. She just wasn't needed anymore. Tired of being small, right? So she broke out of that. And with the sun meeting up with Pluto, we have illumination in the dark. And this is powerful too, because when things are hidden, our fears are heightened. When we don't know, we fear. And that fear causes us to make decisions that we would not normally make when we are not in fear, when we are balanced and centered within ourselves, and we are making those decisions that are in line with our highest good. We cannot do that when we're living in fear. And fear has been the food that media has been putting out since 2020. And it's all about fear. It's all about fearing something. It's all about being afraid. And this is really, this sun going into Pluto and lighting up that dark is going to show us, is going to illuminate us to things that maybe is going to shock us a little bit. When we know what has been hidden from us, then we can work with it. Then we can process it, and we can deal with it and do whatever we need to do. And this is going to be one of those things where we feel the energy before we actually experience it, okay? Where everything is not happening overnight, it's going to take a while. So while Mercury is still retrograde, now he will be stationing, going direct on the 18th, but we will be in his shadow for a while longer. So all of these intense squares that we had, Saturn and Uranus, that was the conservative against the progressive. That is that whole, you're gone too far, I haven't went far enough. That whole energy, as well as the Saturn that, Saturn also conjunct Pluto. He met up with Pluto as well. So this is starting to drift away. This energy is starting to break away. So that old energy is going to start breaking away. The new year did not really start like a new year. And notice I never said anything about resolutions or anything. And I do apologize because someone actually asked me this. So was it a good time for resolutions? No, not really, because Mercury is retrograde. What you think right now may not be the same thing you think at the end of the cycle, because this is change. We are supposed to be changing every day. That's how we grow. That's our only constant. We are supposed to evolve, right? So, and we can, we are really seeing the breakaway from a lot of the older energy as well. A lot of the we look in at Iran, and we see what's going on in Iran, and we can see that breakaway from that old kind of energy. And we can look at China and see what's happening, see what that's happening to the people. um, it is just, it's heartbreaking when you sit and think about what is happening to these people that, are supposed to be there to protect and serve them. And well, certain countries are communism, so that's different. But you understand, this is Capricorn represents that top down energy. And Pluto is still there. And Pluto will be there for a while longer. And he is going to be doing his disruption and doing what he needs, because he is breaking down an old establishment that does not do good for the people, for the whole. When he moves into Aquarius, that is when the power will shift to the people. Now, of course, like I said, he's going to go back a little bit. He'll go retrograde, but he will go back into Aquarius, and we'll change all of that. Now, I want to go back a little bit to the 12th, because this is, I want to talk about Venus. Venus is squaring the north and south node, and she's going to be sextiling Chiron. Now, also on that same day, the sun is sextiling Neptune. And that is adding to this energy. But for Venus squaring the north node and south node, she's looking at where she's going and what she is leaving behind. And she's also sextile Chiron, which is offering her some healing energy. Chiron in Aries is I am. And this is about healing the self, not in a selfish way, but in a self away from the wholeness of it. And it's also about healing in different ways that isn't of the norm. Aries is that pioneer. He goes out there and he does these new things. So this is where that is fitting in. So with that, with the sun sextile Neptune, that is bringing a fantasy. But when we're having Venus meeting up with Chiron, Chiron is going to bring solutions to the problem. It's going to bring a healing to this problem. Now, the fantasy, now Neptune is all about Hollywood. It's the fantasy life. And that's why when we're looking at actors and actresses and people look at them, it's like, I look at them at actors and actresses because that's Hollywood. That is that pull the gold down, the shimmer, distraction, right? And when the sun is sextile Neptune, it is going to make it easier to see through illusions that are trying to be placed upon us. Neptune is our dreams. It's where it's dreamy, it's flowy, it does feel good, but it is not a reality. It is grabbing you and having you lost in this illusion, and you're not seeing the truth. Now, also the sun will make a half square with Mars. So this will be some frustration too, because I know that this energy is not moving as fast as we would like it to move. And that is because Mars is still in retrograde. And even when he comes out of retrograde, I'm just going to say, when he comes out, he's still moving slowly. He's still moving slowly. This energy is also connecting us to when Mercury sextiled Neptune back on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So this Sun sextile and Neptune is going to connect us back with that. There's something we're going to have to revisit a little bit there. Again, cycles. It's cycles. We have to, if we don't grow out of them, we repeat them. On the 9th, I'm going to backtrack a little bit further. On the 9th, Venus and Mars, they squared, and they were giving us a wake-up call that we need to wake up. And this is our divine masculine and our divine feminine. And this is calling for a harmony between these energies, but not necessarily on the outside, but on our inside, about balancing that feminine and masculine energy within us. On the 14th, Mercury backtracks to his square with Saturn, and that is going to bring more of that limitation. That is, when Mercury is retrograde already, communication is thwarted. But when the square Saturn, it's going to try to be suppressed. So we have to watch out for that. Now, beautiful Venus. And this energy is actually going to begin on the 13th. But on the 14th, Venus is going to square Uranus. And this is a pretty good energy. Uranus is a big player in astrology. And Venus, and back on the 13th, and on the 13th, not back on it, but on the 13th, Venus is where Saturn was when he squared Uranus. So this is really good energy because it is getting out of that whole conservative and progressive, and Venus is moving in with her love and her beauty and her harmony and saying, yes, there needs to be change. There needs to be change, but we need to go about it in a harmonic way. We can't, we can't keep our boot on the throat anymore. We have to work. We have to work with each other. We have to work with the energy. This is what adults do. And this is within us. This is people to people. Venus is about relationships and connections. So I'm not talking about governments. I'm talking about people in general. People taking the power in general. Everyone taking the power to step up and make those changes. This is, like I said, this is really good energy. And the thing of it is we're going to have to relax here. So Venus is feminine, okay? So this energy is saying, relax, stop trying to control everything, because we want to, as long as we can control it, right? We can control the outcome. Excuse me. But we can't control everything. We have to relax in this, and we have to surrender, and we have to be willing to let go. Things that trigger us, you need to check with them. Why are they triggering you? This is something you need to work through. This is no one else's problem but your own. You need to work through it. Let go. Venus opens the floodgates of desire with this connection. So this can really help us when we are going into our future. Uranus is the great awakener. And this is an awakening to our desires, awakening to our passion, awakening to these other things that are coming about. And Uranus is all about excitement. Uranus, again, the awakener. He is the rebel. He is the lightning strike. He's the one that strikes the crown off the top of the tower and said, change is here. Not change is upon us, but change is here. It is happening now. And this is really, really good for a lot of this. And I wanted to include the green comet before the astrology, because I want you to see how this is playing out and how this cycle is coming about. I'm really excited to see what energy is going to come from this. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh, please no, but you know, the thing of it is we need to keep moving and get out of this funk. So we are with Venus squaring Uranus. Uranus says, let's make this happen. Venus is like, this is my desire. This is what I love. This is what feeds my heart. And Uranus says, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's go. Now, Saturn is also, you know, with his half square with Mercury, that is going to replay some of the 2020 and 2021 energy. So that is going to happen on the 13th. He's going to have that half square with Mercury. So this is a replay. This is that energy trying to come up. But now it's like, nope. It is time for change. It is time for moving on. It is time to stop. It is time to look at what is important in our life and to stop playing small and to play big and think about what we are doing in the future. Where are we headed? Where are we headed? So, you know, we don't want fights in the future. We want harmony. That is how civilization thrives, is through harmony, not through dispute. That is an old way. You know, it's like wars are created to make rich men richer and poor men poorer. You know, that's always been the saying. But now let's let that go. Let's move beyond that, and let's grasp this new energy. On the 17th, Venus is going to have a half square with Jupiter. This and Jupiter and Venus, and people will say there's good and bad planets. I don't think there's good and bad planets. I think the energy is energy, and it's our perception. Change is always looked at as a bad thing until it brings something great. And many times you don't know that it's going to bring something great until after you have went through that change. So this is going to be, normally this a half square is stressing, but this is time, it is saying that it's time to enjoy a little bit. Jupiter is in Aries, and that is the I am, and this can have us wanting to indulge in all kinds of stuff, and beauty and food and sex and all kinds of stuff. This could have us really indulging in desires, right? But we need to learn that balance. We need to learn that balance. Remember the square that Mars and then Venus had on the 9th. Balance. You have to have that balance. And now we come up to the energy of Mercury retrograde, going direct. So on January the 18th at 8:12 a.m. Eastern Time, Mercury will station and go direct in the sign of Capricorn. Now, when Mercury becomes visible, we are going to have some insights. Also, this is when Mercury is going to have a cazimi. And I love that word, cazimi. A cazimi is when Mercury conjuncts the sun. So you have the messenger of the gods communicating with the biggest god, right? With the sun. So this is what is a kazemi is what is referred to in the heart of the sun. So this is Mercury sitting in the heart of the king, has his utmost devotion and attention. And when Mercury does become visible again, we are going to have insights that is going to open us up to new paths in our lives. This could bring new contracts. This could bring new business opportunities. This could bring the energy of you thought you were walking down this road, and then you're going down here, you're happy, all of a sudden this moment happens, you have this moment of illumination and enlightenment, and then you see something, and then you are offered, and all this new world opens up to you. This could be that energy of walking down a path that you didn't think you would ever walk down. Opportunities that you thought would never come to you could come to you. This is really, really good energy. And Pluto in Capricorn is also helping us to get to our core, to what's really going on within us. Pluto loves to dig deep. He loves to get down to the roots. Okay, so this could be one of maybe your purpose in life. You know, if this is one thing that you do, maybe you realize that, you know what, this is what I did for a while, but now this is what I'm doing. This helped me get to my purpose of what I'm here to do, and and what energy I'm here to share at this time. So this is great, great energy. And I want to add that the full moon that we're coming off of, the Cancer full moon, that Cancer Capricorn axis, that really tapped us in to healing, to moving past things, of letting go of what is no longer practical. This also connected us to a mother energy. So a lot of you may have had a rough full moon, especially if you have any kind of mother wounds going on. Um, my words sometimes, guys, I'm so sorry, my words. But this is one energy where, we can really take life by the horns and stop being lost in the illusions that are brought down to us, and live our lives. So there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of shifts going on. There's a lot of changes, and there's a lot of transformation. And this is, again, it's moving slowly, and that's okay. It can be frustrating at times because we want it to go faster. We're going to have to give Mars a minute to catch up. He has been retrograde, so we have to give him a moment to get his momentum. And we also have to give ourselves the moment to get our momentum. These past 2 years have really hurt us, not only financially, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. A lot of people are growing spiritually too. People are, again, Pluto likes us to dig deep to our roots. A lot of people are going back to their ancestral spirituality. They're tracing their DNA, they're tracing their family history, their family trees. They're going back, and they're tapping in to that culture of that runs in their blood, that is within their DNA. There's a lot of us that have been separated from our culture, and we are at this time where we are going back, and we're trying to establish that deep security. So, with this green comet coming, I'm telling you, I really think that that it's going to bring some really good energy that we are needing. Now, also on Imbolc on February the 20th, Venus is in Pisces, okay? And this is free flowing love. And this is yearning for deep soul commitments. Venus is relationships. And now we're going to be looking at our life that we want it to last. We don't want the surface anymore. We don't want the shell, right? We want what's inside, the good stuff that's inside. We would like to have pretty. Yeah, we would like to have that pretty on the outside. But it's also about having somebody that understands you and you don't have to explain yourself all the time. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great to have these soul connections that people can just know you? In our relationships, this is romantic as well as our friendships. Finding our tribe. Remember, I've been saying it is time to find your tribe. It is definitely time to find your tribe. But be careful and watch out for those red flags, because many times we can get so lost in love. We have those rose-colored glasses on and we only see what we want to see. We don't see the reality of it. So don't let yourself be taken for granted or taken advantage of. But it is time to find your tribe. It is time to connect and have those deep soul connections. It is time that the keeping up with the Joneses is out, and keeping up with our spirituality and our heart and our health and our relationships and those things that truly matter the most. It is a redirection, and I do hope that that green comet is that omen that I'm feeling that will be. So that is it for the astrology. I know it was a ton of information, and I try to cover it as quickly as I can. Again, if you follow me on my Facebook page at AstroTarot Report, or you can find me on my YouTube, which is at the Dragon Rose Creations 1013. If you find me on there, I normally put up little astro updates. So, you know, follow me, and I'll be putting up those other things that I'm not able to cover in these shows. Again, thank you so much for watching the astrology part of the Astro Tarot show. Please stay tuned for the reading, and let's see what the cards have to tell us.